Mr. Donaldson, you need to listen, okay? Because I am going to change some things. I did not file contempt against you because this case is ending. And I want the case, I didn't think throwing you in jail, which would definitely have been a possibility, was the thing to do when the case was closed. Had you done this the hearing before or any other hearing prior to February 1st, I would have not hesitated. Even during the middle of COVID, we'd all masked up and we'd have been at the Coryell County Courthouse and we'd have been showing this on, IMAX or whatever we needed to get this resolved. A couple things that I want to say is, I went back over the court reports and I went over your letter and I have quite a few notes that I want to talk to you about, Donaldson, because I'm going to change some of the things in the mediated settlement agreement. Not a whole lot, but I am going to change some things. In your email to me, Mr. Donaldson, you talk about that. Well, number one, at the end of the hearing that day, you had your fingers up. I'm not going to do it again, but you said I was pressing a button. Remember that. So in your email, you talk about it doesn't matter, ... What does matter, ... So let's just go over this. Can you hear me, Mr. Donaldson? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now, Your Honor?
Yes, sir. Okay, I just want to make sure you can mute. You can mute again. I just make sure I can hear you. One thing I think you need to be real grateful of, Mr. Donaldson, it's not just me that could file contempt on you. Mr. Sturmer, Miss Mystic, Miss Samaget, anybody, Miss Wheeler, they could have filed a motion to enforce a motion for contempt against you because everybody was offended by your actions, whether they saw it or not. Because it was very quick, everybody's offended. We have decorum, whether we're in a courtroom or not, a live courtroom or whether we're on Zoom. We've been doing this for 3 years now. This is a courtroom. We all have decorum, and based upon some of the things that happened during this case, I don't know why other people haven't. Miss Wheeler especially, I'm not criticizing her, but it sure doesn't show a whole lot. Reading the court reports, Mr. Joseph said that during the time of the CPS case, you had multiple outbursts towards the CPS and towards the caseworker, and you were yelling also at the caseworkers. Not to mention, you were yelling at people in this case, and right when it's over, you continue to show your same colors that you had exhibited throughout the case by having bad behavior to people that, you get more bees with honey if you're nice to CPS workers and you're nice to the court. But you didn't learn. You continue to show, like I said, show your true colors. You've used cuss words to the caseworker, all that. This is a cuss word. It's not actually a word, but it's a verbal, everybody all knows what it means. And I just don't get it. In your email to me, you said, I just want to clearly state that I meant absolutely no disrespect to you or your courtroom. That gesture wasn't meant for one individual. I'm just an idiot at times. Like I said, I don't care who it was meant for, whether it was me, your wife, your lawyer. I don't care. It doesn't matter. The fact that you did it is what the problem was.
Understood, Your Honor.
It just doesn't show me that you learned anything from 1.5 years that we've been here having to deal with this case. And why are we here? I mean, you and Ms. Donaldson both have CPS history in the past, but the reason we were here in the first place was because of drug use and fussing and fighting with you and Ms. Donaldson. I don't know. I don't recall her using drugs, but she got on her service plan quick. and it took you forever to get on your service plan, and multiple providers that you should have learned tons of stuff from, and you didn't. You know, one thing that I think should be considered, and I'm not going to do it today because Ms. Wheeler in here, based upon your actions, maybe the protective order that was not dismissed or non-suited should be back in place. Because to me, this is a threat. This is it's abusive. It's abusive. If you are doing that to somebody in court when your case is closed, what would you do if somebody made you mad, or Miss Donaldson still has to deal with you in the divorce? I don't get it. All the things that you promised to uphold in the Army. You know, you say in your letter that your email that you were 17 years active duty with 7 overseas tours. During the time you were in the Army, you should have learned respect, dignity, authority.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And I'm not in the Army. I'm not in the military. I don't have any family in the military, but those are things that I think you learn, that my other soldiers come to court. I have a lot of soldiers in court. A lot of them come to court and they're active duty and they're going through a lot of stress because they have a pending brand new CPS. And they don't act like that. Even people that are way less intelligent than you, they don't act like that. And for 17 years, you'd have thunk that you would have learned better than that. You know, your actions were ridiculous. They were rude. It was condescending. A slap in everybody's face. Poor Mr. Joseph. I'm sorry he's not here today, but he's worked with you, Mr. Donaldson. He was a good cheerleader for you. You know, we had to change caseworkers, but Mr. Joseph stuck up for you, and he did a good job maneuvering you through the CPS system. And then for you to do that, I don't get it. One thing I wanted to say is, you know, YouTube, we're on YouTube. We're on YouTube now. You know, all these people that have all these YouTube channels and Instagram and all those things that we see that are recorded on a regular basis. What does that show? You know, your kids could have access to this video, the video of court, who knows? And you have older kids, and what kind of lesson does that show them? Not a very good one, I don't think. What do you think it shows them a real good lesson, Mr. Donaldson?
I do not, Your Honor.
You're supposed to be a parent. You're the grown-up. You're the big man. You and Miss Donaldson are the parents. Doing this, I mean, what would you do, Mr. Donaldson, if one of your children did that to you?
Address it appropriately, Your Honor.
In your email, you said you talk about, you know, I would like to think of myself as a good person and, God willing, a good dad. A good dad doesn't come to court and shoot the bird at the court and everybody else. That is not what a good dad does. A good dad should have learned through all the many counselors you went to have some sort of self-restraint. And I don't even know why you were mad, Mr. Donaldson. You got a way better deal than maybe you deserve with hindsight going on, pursuant to the MSA. So why were you mad? Why did you do that?
I wasn't mad, Your Honor. That was, again, I didn't think my camera was on. That was more or less me closing out the entire process, all the problems that, you know, I've had to face throughout the CPS system. Again, it wasn't an FU to anybody specifically. That was more or less for me personally, for the fact that, you know, I got through something that a lot of people told me at the onset of this that I would not. That includes caseworkers, lawyers. A lot of people in the system, you know, made it very apparent from the beginning that, you know, I never had my kids back if I did to be on a supervised basis. And I told them, just like I told, you know, everybody from the end of it, that was not going to be the case. I was going to get my kids back because I am a good dad and I am a good person. Again, it was stupid. It was infantile. But it was obviously not a personal indication of my ability to parent my children, or me being a threat to anybody else.
Well, I would imagine that you might be seeing this again in your divorce, or, you know, Miss Donaldson, I'm sure she's going to be keeping this, and who knows what she's going to show your kids. Hopefully, you know, we got the Children's Bill of Rights going, but like I said, I mean, I hope the kids don't see it through your wife, but you know, the kids could see it through, you know, kids know and have better access to this type of technology than we do.
Understood, Your Honor.
Mr. Donaldson, you said thank you again for all your help in the resolution of this case and reunification of our family. Thank you. Thank you. And this is what we get. I mean, I know you said it was more just out of your frustration with the whole GPS system, but it's because of you, Mr. Donaldson, that we even had to be here. And we don't really want to be here today. We sure didn't want to have to be here for a year and a half. So I don't appreciate this being the thank you that we get. You in your email, Mr. Donaldson, you talk about how much better off you are now. Once again, I don't really think your actions reflect that.
I was talking in relation to methamphetamine use and sobriety, Your Honor.
Say that again.
I was talking in relation to the methamphetamine use and sobriety that started this case off.
Okay. Well, I hope, but you know what? Also, domestic violence started this case off too. And y'all have, pursuant to the affidavit, there's been a history of you and Miss Donaldson not getting along. I don't know if y'all just have a toxic relationship, but I hope it doesn't continue with your next girlfriend or your next partner. You took parenting, you took counseling, you took anger management, you took BIP, you got a great new job. I don't think your employer, Mr. Donaldson, would like to find out that you were disrespecting the court and authority figures by shooting the bird on camera.
That's correct, Your Honor.
I bet they would not be real proud of you. And you're driving a company vehicle. You know, if you're shooting the bird at us at the end of a case that ended successful for you, and you got your family back, which you said you were going to do the whole time, yay, I'd be having a party. But if I was your employer that's letting you drive a company vehicle, what if somebody cuts in front of you, or there's some sort of road rage? If you do this when you have a happy ending, what are you going to do if somebody makes you mad? That would be concerning to me. Another thing you talk about, you didn't have any money, you didn't have a job, you're using drugs, you were living in a van down by the river, you were living under the bridge with your dog, you know?
That's correct, Your Honor.
I feel sorry for your dog, you know? I'm a dog, I'm an
He's
animal
fine,
person.
Your Honor.
And, you know, with this type of attitude, Mr. Donaldson, you should display the type of behavior. Maybe you go home each night and kick your dog. I hope you don't do that. But, you know, maybe the law should be called on you if you continue to have this violent type of nature. Maybe you shouldn't even be able to own a pet, more or less having unsupervised visits with your children. I mean, if you're showing this type of behavior, what are you going to do if one of your kids makes you mad? You know, makes a bad grade in school, you know, does normal teenager stuff that they do. What are you going to do then? Did you learn anything in your counseling? I don't know. And to top it off, you were named joint managing conservator. You weren't even named a possessory conservator. You got the highest thing you could possibly get. And Miss Donaldson agreed to give you joint managing conservator. You know, you needed to be packing your bags, and, you know, instead of this, we should have gotten blown kisses. You know, sometimes we have hearings, we had to do yays, or we do hearts, you know, we do all kind of things. No, we get this. You know, you were active duty military for 17 years. You had to learn respect for your commanding officers and everybody in the Army, or you wouldn't have been there 17 years. So
that's correct, Your Honor.
They would have court-martialed you or kicked you out or whatever all those military words are. But if you're dumb enough to shoot somebody, all of us, the bird in court, I don't know if you're still on drugs or not. That is the act of somebody that is not rational, that does not have control of their facilities, Mr. Donaldson. So I hope your employer does random UAs on you. Do they?
They do, Your Honor. I took one last week.
Did you pass?
Of course I did, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, you know, sometimes the levels for employment drug tests are different than the levels in the CPS cases. So just being.
It was at the same place that I CPS tested, Your Honor.
I know, but they contract different. And you know, Mr. Donaldson, one other thing that concerns me is, you know, that day, I appreciate your email later. I know Mr. Harrell probably thought better if you send it to me, but I have to say I do appreciate it. It was kind. But when we were talking, I said, did Mr. Donaldson just shoot us the bird? And Miss Donaldson goes, she has this big face. And then you make up some kind of story. I was pressing the button. I mean, you lied in court. And that, you know, these fingers were clearly turned down. And I don't think you turn off the cameras with the middle finger sticking up and the other fingers being turned down. In your mediated settlement agreement, Mr. Donaldson, you agreed to a permanent injunction that says you're enjoined from communicating with Lacey Donaldson in person or in any other manner, including by telephone or other electronic voice transmission, video chat in writing, or electronic messaging in vulgar, profane, obscene, or indecent language in a coarse, offensive manner. You know, I'd already approved the MSA right then. This, whether it was directed towards Ms. Donaldson or not, Lacey Donaldson in person or in any other manner, you've clearly violated right off the bat, before the papers are even signed. You clearly violated the mediated settlement agreement and also violated the permanent injunction against you, because Ms. Donaldson was here and this could have been directed at her, is vulgar, profane, offensive, obscene, indecent. It's every single one of those. So how am I to think that you're going to abide by the terms of the judgment that I haven't signed yet because of this? What are you going to tell me that's going to make me think that you're going to abide by the terms of the agreement you and Ms. Donaldson reached?
The only thing I tell you, Your Honor, is that I have abided by them. I think this is definitely, I won't say a wake-up call, but just the understanding that how quickly everything that I've worked for could go from, you know, positive to negative and be a detractor is something I'm not willing to risk again. So, I mean, on that side of things, I mean, it's all I can tell you is that I'm not. I mean, it's up to you to believe me or not, and I understand your position as well.
Now, and aren't you under indictment, Mr. Donaldson?
That's correct.
Okay. No, he's not. What, Mr. Harrell? Let me know.
Your Honor, he has 2 indictments and there's another pending charge. I'm struggling with the not being next to him and telling him when to answer and not to answer.
Okay. Well, all I asked was under the indictment. I wasn't going to get into the offenses, but I just wanted to make sure, because I thought he had
I
criminal.
was just trying to stop it at that point, Your Honor. I apologize.
Yeah, no, I got it. Well, and Mr. Donaldson, I would imagine, just saying, that the district attorney and probably the other judges that are going to be hearing your cases have probably heard about this. So I don't know if that's going to have any effect or not, but just beware. Also, in your mediated settlement agreement, 9.2 has the Children's Bill of Rights in it, and it's enforceable against both you and Ms. Donaldson pursuant to the MSA. This is violating the Children's Bill of Rights. So you got 2 big violations right off the bat before the papers are even signed. I need to know if Mr. Donaldson, he was ordered to pay $275 in January and $275 in February. I know the papers aren't signed yet. Go to the Attorney General's office, all that AG mess. But Ms. Donaldson, have you received any child support?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he paying you directly?
Yes.
Okay. And so Mr. Donaldson's current in that regard, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. I have two other things I want to say, but I'll say that towards the end. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add? Mr. Harrell?
Your Honor, I don't want to belabor this hearing any longer, and I appreciate what you've done and where we're at this stage. But I just want to point out, I know that our private conversation, I basically begged you for some mercy, but I want everyone else to hear it, including Mr. Donaldson. He and I have had this conversation several times, and it's not an excuse, absolutely. But what a lot of people don't understand is that PTSD is a mental illness. I mean, it's very hard to overcome if you ever overcome it. And it's directly related to the things you've seen or done, and it's not just combat, but I'm speaking from a place of experience, but it's even trauma that you think you could have prevented. We know that based on his military record and his VA disability rating, Mr. Donaldson has PTSD. He's disabled because of it, 100% disabled because of it. And because it's a mental illness, you're going to have issues directly related to PTSD, which are impulse control, addiction problems, self-medication, all of these things that I myself with the same diagnosis struggle with. I've never flicked off the court or been in that sort of situation, but I've certainly struggled with impulse control multiple times and multiple facets, even tiny instances where it doesn't make sense to anyone else, because in my head I am struggling. I'm overreacting to a situation. I am having a panic attack, sweating on the inside and the outside, and I tend to, react violently. I'm not saying that I put hands on people, but I've, put my head in a wall. I have, struggled against multiple forces. And again, it's not an excuse, but it is an explanation. And I've worked with Mr. Donaldson now for quite a while, and I obviously have a very special place in my heart for veterans. I do not think that fraction of a moment is an actual indicator of who he is and who he can be. So, although I think that the court is well deserved to have this hearing and to have stated the same, the things that the court has stated so far, I do not want all the work that everyone has put into this case and these children to be a reflection or to be a something that happens from that stupid impulse control moment where he did what he did, and he's taken full responsibility for it. I know at the time he made up an excuse, but I'm begging again, Your Honor, that we managed to get a mediated settlement agreement, and I think he's going to follow it. I have a lot of faith in him, even though he upsets me on a pretty regular basis. And I will comment that I think we're going to be able to get his criminal cases resolved in a friendly manner, and the district attorney and the judge are aware of this incident, and we're still working forward to resolve it because we all are rooting for Mr. Donaldson.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Rob.
Harrell. Thank you. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add? No? Okay, y'all are being quiet. Amazing. Okay. One thing in the mediated settlement agreement I did not like that I'm going to change, and I don't care that if y'all don't like it. I do not like that Miss McGehee was given a $2,000 judgment for delinquent child support that was due and payable to her when she was the placement of the children. I questioned this at the time. All I was told, and I went back and read the mediated settlement agreement, was that there was a $2,000 judgment payable to the former placement for back due child support. I'm going to order that Mr. Donaldson pay that $2,000 child support at the rate of $200 per month, beginning 4/1/23, until the $2,000 is paid in full. I want it to be an enforceable, contemptible type of order, just like the child support that's due and payable to Ms. Donaldson. I think that's only fair. And like I said, I didn't like it at the time, but now I'm going to change it based upon why we're here. You understand that, Mr. Donaldson?
I do, Your Honor.
And due to the fact that we get to be here today, and based upon the behaviors, and based upon the extra time that Mr. Harrell, especially, and me, and some of the other attorneys have had to put in for court today and watching the video, etc., I'm going to order Mr. Donaldson to pay $750 of attorney fees payable to Coryell County at the rate of $125 per month, beginning also on 4/15/23. It's payable to the Coryell County District Clerk, and hopefully, and that's just based on attorney fees for the case. Hopefully, if that's not paid, and if the child support, hopefully it's paid, but if the attorney fees aren't paid, hopefully that the Attorney General's office could collect that money for the county also. So that's what I'm going to rule today. Mr. Donaldson, I hope that I don't have to have you back in court for another CPS case. Ms. Donaldson, I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear any of y'all's kids' name. Y'all's kids have really cool, distinct names. They sound like great kids. And with everything everybody's been through, and then how this is a grand finale, I surely hope nobody comes back to court anymore.
Understood, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else want to say anything? Mr. Sturmer, if you send me the order, I looked in my file. I don't know. I haven't looked at my, was current up till about 2 weeks ago on order for when out of town. Have you sent it to me, or were you waiting today?
I was waiting for this hearing.
Okay. So you can add these 2 new provisions to it.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Donaldson, we really do wish you the best of luck. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And I am probably, despite what you might think, I'm probably one of the nicest judges that you're ever going to come in front of. I work hard to understand, even though as a prosecutor for the department my whole life before I was a judge, I work hard to try to understand what the parents are going through. Okay. And what the kids,
Yes, Your Honor.
what the kids are going to. And I think that you've gotten on my last nerve with this last escapade. And had it been another, you might be 6 feet under the jail for 6 months. Despite the wonderful words that your lawyer, Mr. Harrell, said. So I strongly urge you to grab your other hand and say, don't do it. Don't, even though this one's saying do it, this one's saying don't, grab it and pull it down. Don't let it do stupid stuff.
Understood, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, well, thank y'all, everybody, for coming. I have never had to have a hearing like this before, and I don't know how I've been a lawyer 38 years, never seen this before. I hope for the rest of my 38 years as a lawyer and a judge, that I don't have to see this again. Okay? So, Miss Donaldson, I truly, truly hope that things go well for you and your kiddos and Mr. Donaldson. I hope y'all get a divorce like yesterday, and that both of y'all can, and your kiddos can get on with your lives, and y'all can work together as a cohesive family unit, just like Mr. Donaldson said in his email. Did you get his email?
My attorney forwarded it to me, yes.
Okay, okay. Well, just one of those things you need to keep in your records, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Kids doing okay?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And Mr. Donaldson doing step up visitation, everything's going well in the regard?
Yeah. Mhm.
Mr. Donaldson, you think everything's going good with the family?
Absolutely, Your Honor. Couldn't be better.
Okay. What's the status of the divorce?
Ongoing.
The court was wanting final orders on this case before they would move forward with the divorce. So
Okay.
once this is signed and everything's done, then I can go up there and see what my next steps are.
Okay. Okay, well, good luck to y'all, and more importantly, good luck. Everybody's raising their hand. Let me
Thank
swear
you.
the new people, everybody in. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Rogers, you and the other lawyers in Costa have been able to visit?
Yes, Your Honor, and I think we have reached an agreement that I could recite if you would like.
Okay.
Both mother and father have agreed to TMC. Let me run through some of the factual information. My understanding from both parents' attorneys is that there's no Native American heritage, that there are no prior orders, but that father's name is on the birth certificate. They have requested virtual visits and in-person supervised after 3 clean UAs. Ms. Harris might want to explain a little bit of the circumstances of her client's situation, but I think that's what the department would ask for. For support, I think would be satisfied with personal effects, at least for the moment. And the attorneys for everybody, including the attorney ad litem, have requested that everyone provide names so that CPS could run any potential family member placements.
Okay, have the parent, did you say, I don't remember hearing about this, did you say, parents, have y'all ever been to court over at Kalani before in the past for attorney?
No.
No, okay, that's good. No Native American, okay. Miss Willis, is that your client's understanding of the agreement?
Yes, it is.
Okay, anything else you need?
I just want to let the court know that she lives with her boyfriend. He works for Georgetown Behavioral, and he is willing to do services. He's at work right now, but he's all on board to
Okay,
be
great.
part of the service plan.
And Miss Trinidad texted me and told me I did approve Miss Johnson's application for court-appointed attorney, correct?
You
And
did, Your Honor, and it's been e-filed.
yeah, and I think Miss Harris, yours is in the email today, correct?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Just from looking at it, I mean, I like to write on my file. Do you think I'll approve it? You think he's entitled?
Yes, absolutely, Judge.
Okay.
And it was very detailed.
Okay, then I'll go on and approve it, taking your word for it, of course, okay? Okay, thank y'all for filling those out, that's very helpful. Okay, Ms. Harris, what do you need? Apparently something per Mr. Rogers.
Well, a couple of things. They've agreed on some virtual visits until the 3 clean. We would just ask that those drug tests be done quickly so that we can get those in person done, because he was having contact with his daughter previously. Also,
Ms. Harris, where does Mr. Gonzalez live? Okay, that's good.
And the other thing that we were asking is that a UA be done, because his mouth swab came back positive for methamphetamines, and he's quite adamant that he has not used methamphetamines, and he's also been on parole and is regularly testing and has not tested positive for methamphetamines. So I don't know why that would happen, because it was a mouth swab. I would at least prefer that a UA be done.
I was wondering if we could do a nail test on the parents. Mr. Gonzalez obviously has some hair issues, So that's the body hair, and I just soon. I mean, yes, he can go on and do a UA, but I mean, let's just. What was the date of the mouth swab?
I believe it was February 24th.
Okay,
It was that Friday.
So a UA is going to show something hopefully different. I mean,
Yes.
right?
And his test for probation was on the 2nd of March, and it was clean.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do.
Good.
And Miss Gonzalez, Miss Johnson has different hair color, so I don't really want to do a hair test. So I
It
just
looks like he's trying.
Excuse me. You're muted now.
I apologize, Judge.
Okay, somebody was saying something.
Oh,
It-
I
it
was
was-
going to say.
Go
I was
on,
going to
Miss Harris.
start to say something, Your Honor. But that's okay. I'll hold off on that for a moment.
Okay. Miss Harris, what are you going to say?
Nothing, Your Honor. I'm sorry. I'm trying to manage that visit that we talked about earlier today with our termination.
Okay. Okay, I was going to say parents nail test per CPS with results back by next hearing. And I'm sure Mr. Gonzalez is going to be on the color scheme anyway, so he'll be doing a UA that way. Ms. Harris, I do need your client to be able to sign a release for parole to be able to confer, CPS to be able to confer with parole, okay?
Also, Your Honor, one thing I meant to mention is our efforts to serve are ongoing, and we'll continue that. But since both parents are here, could you enter a general appearance? There's no objection.
Parents, lawyers, can y'all explain that? One of y'all explain that to the parents while I write stuff down?
I've already talked to my client about it, Judge.
Okay.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Just
Yeah.
asking for a general appearance. We're trying to serve both parents, but I don't think we've quite got it done yet. So since they showed up.
Okay. I think my client's been served.
Okay.
If not,
Ms. Johnson, you got papers
I'll
from
accept service.
They kept trying to serve me at my mom's house and not at my physical address.
okay. Well,
I've sent everything to her, Judge, and
But I got everything by email.
okay, well, I'm just going to say she makes a general appearance, means they're going to serve you papers anyway, but you did appear here in court today, okay? Okay, and you're represented by counsel. Okay, Ms. Harris, anything else?
Just that the relatives, the department said that they would look at his relatives. I'm going to work with him on who to make a priority.
Okay, good. Okay, Costa, let's see who, Ms. Welch, what do y'all need?
Nothing, Your Honor, just that the little girl, Claudia's doing really good eating home cooked meals, and she just got introduced to horses, and she's a big fan.
Wow, where is she, in foster family? Where is she?
She's in foster.
What general area?
Over there in the middle of nowhere by near Temple.
Oh, that's not really, I think more over here is the middle of nowhere. Okay. Okay.
Right.
What do you need?
Was that for me, Judge?
Yes, sir.
I think everything's good. We are going to explore some of the family possible placements. I think Jennifer's going to kind of give me a best order to pursue. It is a foster adopt, so we did want to pursue all family options if we could.
Okay. Okay, Miss Willis, you're going to talk to your client about some potential family also, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we got the Indian Native American heritage. We got no prior court orders. Parents, after today, there's going to be a meeting called a family group conference. And at the family group conference, that's where your service plan will be developed. And your services plan is obviously some services y'all got to do to get Kaylani back with y'all. Okay. I tell everybody at every hearing, you got to comply with your service plan or your parental rights could be subject to termination. Okay. Our next hearing is going to be a status hearing. It's on May 10th. At the status hearing, we'll go over your service plan, and that's going to make it a court order. And on that day, I'll also give you some more court dates so you can plan accordingly for work or school or doctors or whatever you need to plan for. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well,
Makes sense.
y'all's number one chore is to be thinking about family. And when you're thinking about family, I'm sure y'all's lawyers told you, but be thinking about family that would pass. So hopefully no CPS history, no major Criminal history, nothing. I mean, like I had one yesterday. The lady had a DWI in 2019. She wouldn't pass. Now, I could place the child there, but we want to think of people that will pass so they'll be able to get benefits, blah, 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 all that stuff. Okay. 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 Anybody else need anything? No.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, good luck to y'all and get on the names real quick, and we'll see y'all in May. Truth, nothing but the truth. So help you God. Oh, what happened again? I mean, to be honest with y'all, I didn't even read it because I was like, I mean, don't rat me out on that. I mean, I was like, remember, I didn't hear the last part of the case, so I didn't really, I mean, when I think Chastity sent me a text at Rowan, or I think I texted Dwayne, is it Bailey? And they said, yes. I'm like,
I don't know what else we're going to do for her, Your Honor.
But I remember when she got sent home last time, I'm like, why? I mean, it's going to happen again. What happened this time?
This time she had moved with her aunt in Midland. And when I guess she got corrected or got scolded for doing something that she shouldn't, she got mad and she ran away. And the aunt called, reported her as a runaway. They searched for her. And when they finally found her, the sheriffs actually took her and she got confrontational with them. And of course, they took her to Midland Memorial, and then she was transferred from Midland Memorial to Oceans, and was appeared to be under the influence of meth at the time.
Meth?
Yes, ma'am.
How long had she been missing?
I think it was like overnight. It was an overnight deal, but she was found in a hotel or around a hotel, and in possession. I think they even found some meth on her.
It was probably human trafficked.
No,
Yeah,
well, she says no, but the aunt says it's people that she makes friends with all over and gets drugs for free.
So drugs have been
If we
a problem.
could go off of YouTube since she is a minor.
Yeah.
Miss Wright, just for the record, is there any other way to get this information to the court unless we go off of YouTube?
There's not, Judge.
Okay.